is there anything in youth hockey that we can remember that was that important or not that important? No. Ice time or winning team and coaching. Like, let's say that's probably the thing. Well, my son played on mostly losing teams. Ice time really didn't matter because it's what you do when you have your ice. And what was the other one I was saying? Coaching. It didn't matter. Nothing. Like I said, he doesn't remember his coaching.
So what's up?
Not much. I don't know. In what way?
You had
in what way?
First weekend with your boy back home this weekend.
Yep.
You were gracious enough to invite me over, but I couldn't come. It was Mother's Day.
Yeah.
It was Mother's Day weekend. Did you guys do any Mother's Day activities, or what'd you do hanging out?
Yeah, like sorta.
Backyard. It was a nice weekend.
Backyard. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, it was nice. It was good. Yeah, no, he got home. I was saying to him yesterday, I said, what a change of pace for you, eh, buddy? Like you go from always coming home is different, right? Because you're such a busy schedule, but then, right in the middle of the playoffs, just with his buddies every day. So he was saying that they were hanging out. He said there wasn't, except for when he went to bed, but then Jet was living with him. He goes, he had someone around him the whole time, every day, all day, every day. So they would be at the rink in the morning, stay there till 4 or 5 in the afternoon, come home and eat, and they'd all be together. Because that team never, ever stopped hanging out together.
Has he said anything about like the differences between the teams? Have you guys got into that much too at all, or no? Like the differences between Guelph at all and being there, and not the hockey, the dynamics of just like the social dynamics, like the personalities. That kind. Has he talked much about any of that?
Yeah, we talked a little.
I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet, so I'm curious.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
right on. I've been thinking a lot about the organizational side of things, especially for us, just because I'm like the position that I'm in too, and how important it is you have to lean on your resources. Like it's hard having one guy that makes the decisions for everything. Yeah. Like it's, you know what I mean? And so if you the way that I currently think about it is if you hire a person to do job X, lean on them to do the job. And if they're not good, then you change them. Well, because if you try to have like everything is you all the time, it's like, and it doesn't work. It's too hard. And that's coming from me. I'm a control freak. I'm a OCD and want to do everything kind of person. It just doesn't work. Like you'll die. Like you'll fry. Like you'll be fried so fast. And that at that level, if you're running a OHL team or the amount of moving parts that are going on there, it's like having good leadership within an organization like that is important, because then you can run an operation. And like you said, there's differences between both and pros and cons or whatever, but being able to release the control and trust the people you have to do what they're supposed to do and all that, it feels increasingly important, even when I'm like just analyzing how we run stuff here. It's just like you can't do everything all the time. Like you need people that you trust that can do a good job in what they're doing, whether it's players or captains of your team, or like I was just giving some of our guys shit about them goofing off more than they should be, and it's like I need to be able to trust that I don't have to babysit you all day. Like you can take the feedback and go and implement it. Like all that stuff is important. And it's interesting to see the differences between how people like try to do things, because there isn't really one right way. That's just kind of how I'm thinking of it these days. But you were saying last week, unless you have anything else to start with, you were saying last week we kind of were going over the AAA, AAA kind of stuff, and you were mentioning in the intro, just talking a little bit about Charlie finishing up his OHL stuff. And I thought it'd be cool. And you suggested maybe going over some of your lessons learned and the way that I'm thinking about it. And like, this is how maybe I know you have some stuff like you wrote down that you want to talk about, but I'm going to frame it as pretty much you're now a retired hockey dad. Like you have like retired as hockey dad. And the reason I think of it that way is because you kind of said one thing that stuck with me from our conversation last week is you said you're feeling yourself being less and less of the resource that he needs to lean on, and more he's become an adult and able to make his own decisions and figure out what he needs to do on his own, or with professional resources that he has within his organizations or whatever. And so it feels like an appropriate time to be like, yeah, you're a mentor to him still to whatever degree, but your job as hockey dad has kind of come to a close now, because he's done his junior hockey career. Now he's a grown up and is going to go do whatever he's going to do. So that's the framing that I have. You've been through putting his skates on the first time all the way to finishing his junior career. You've been through the house league to A to AAA to junior hockey, OHL to NHL Draft. You've seen every piece of it. So now reflecting back on that, what are some of the things that stuck with you as the things you've learned as the parent that has gone through it? And I think that would be obviously super valuable to whoever's coming through. So I'm just going to leave it open-ended for you to start, and then I'll kind of
it was
ask questions.
like, so it's funny that you said that about, I feel like my job as a hockey dad is done, and it's like, I want to be clear, it's never done being a dad, but I like it was always more of a guidance thing, anything, but less and less guidance. So like, for example, on the weekend, his agent called and said, Dallas wants to talk to you about certain things. So, but I was included on the call, and I kind of told Ian before, like, I appreciate it. I'm sure he's fine, because sometimes I play the middleman for Charlie, but like at this point, like I didn't need to be on the call. So as we're speaking right now, he might be finishing a call. He's talking to Dallas right now about something, and Ian said, like, Andy, I'll send the link to you too. And I go, and Charlie goes, no, I'm 20 years old now, I can handle it. So that's
There
what I
it
mean
is.
by it's
Yeah.
like, and I don't take any offense to that at all, right? He'll report to me or not, but he'll tell me what exactly the deal is, and then I'll help him navigate through that, which we did on the weekend a little bit. But I let him bring it up. I wasn't all over him, because again, even that, like, it was pretty cool, like some pretty good stuff happening, and it wasn't like I was forcing it out of him. I let him marinate and let him bring it up on his terms, because it's actually his life, and he'll ask me for some advice, and he always does. But it's just, that's all I'm there to do now, is guide him and give him my thoughts. And the thing is like, he's at the point now where he's approaching a level of hockey that I never got to approach. So, like, if you think about that, for most parents going into junior hockey, most parents don't have any clue. So, like, for me to give him real advice, like, I do have advice and I do have experience in certain things, but he's now the one going to the next level to earn a spot, to earn a living, to move away and cook his own food, like to be an adult and treat this as a job. And he said the other day, he goes, it's a different field. I go, 100%. So, like, all I can do is guide. I can't give him like this experience 100%. I can't tell you exactly what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, that's super interesting, actually. Well, so I think it's a good table set. So I want you to kind of, you can go in whatever order you want.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm thinking the way that you probably have gathered your thoughts, would it be fair to say, not necessarily most to least important lesson, but just this is the collection of items that you feel are super valuable that you're taking away as dad?
Yeah. I think the only way that I can do it is I'd have to include like the feelings that, like, looking at it from a dad, looking at a dad helping a kid, and maybe just the feelings that go with it. So I think I wanted to start with just like the draft itself, because it's relevant to a lot of people that listen. And I think that when the draft itself, I mean, a lot of people, before the draft happens in that U16 year, people get really bent out of shape about hockey, and they think that the OHL draft, like, especially it was in Ontario, now it's expanded. It's always been expanded, but it's like really relevant in the States now. It's the logical pathway to get to a scholarship now, or NHL. So the draft is, everything is built up so big around this 1 year, and understood, right? But like, just to go back, like, it's not for everybody, because there really is only 230 kids that get picked. So when people say it's the biggest year of your hockey, it's the biggest year for some people's hockey, and it's only so big, and it's only 1 day. But nonetheless, when the draft comes, it's, if you know you're getting drafted, or even if you get drafted like as a later pick, like, to be real honest with you, it's really, really exciting time for mom, dad, family, the kid. Like, it is. You're excited, you're anxious. And to me, what the draft does is, it's, especially when you're a high end player, it's a validation, and it's a culmination of all the work that you've done in hockey. Now, that's not really a true statement to a certain degree, because sometimes people are just really good at hockey, and it's not validating all the hard work. It's just saying you're really good, right?
So here's a question.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is going to derail you. I don't know. If you put dad hat only, if you compare the OHL draft moment to the NHL draft moment, what, I don't want to say meant more necessarily, but just what was your thought process and how you felt about it as a parent, or even as parents for you and Christine? Was there one that was
Well,
a bigger deal than the other, or like what was the feelings surrounding it?
no, that's a pretty good question. I don't know how honest or how much I can answer that. We knew 100% that in the OHL draft that he would be a very very high pick. We knew that for sure, and not it was nothing really shocked us with that except for the joy for our kid. But it was still like, from my understanding, it was like a stepping stone. Like, it allows you a chance to go play, which was awesome, and he signed right away. But the draft itself was like, okay, it was like, okay, here's your next step. Whatever that means with the Guelph Storm, that's your next step. They're gonna have control, or not control, but they're gonna
Kind of guide the next
yeah, they're in charge
several
of,
years. Yeah.
of the next little bit. It's what you're going to do to make it. I didn't think he was that far off anyways from playing the OHL, so that wasn't the biggest step in the world. And it's really not. Like, you can get, if you're a good player and you're willing to do certain things, you're going to be a good player if you want it to be. So the joy, awesome. It was very exciting, but it was so young, and you have so much. You're still a dad, still a mom and dad, and it's like exciting. You get to be part of it. When he was drafted to Dallas, it was an unbelievable feeling, because the Dallas Stars is different than the Erie Otters. You know what I mean? That means, like, out of, again, 230 people drafted in the whole world at the highest level ever possible, like, this is a very huge thing. Huge. So that was pretty cool. That was the best.
So,
That would be a bigger deal,
so like
I would say.
from your perspective as a parent, was it what would be like the word you use to describe? Just a more proud moment, a more
Not proud.
like what's the
Relief.
way?
So I would say this. I would say this, like, in just hindsight, right? Or maybe it's current. Is like, to getting drafted to the OHL, you could probably get away with bad habits. You could probably get away with just being good. Like, I think there's a lot more mistakes. Not that there isn't in the NHL, but I think you could get away with being an early bloomer. That's pretty good, and people can make a mistake because they get fooled by that. Um, Whereas in the NHL, like, it's not that they don't make mistakes, but it's like, you earn a spot. Like, you earn a spot to
It's
get
just a
drafted
way,
in
it's
the
a
NHL. Yeah,
order of magnitude.
yeah, the
bigger
magnitude's
validation.
much
Yeah.
bigger to be drafted to a National Hockey League team, in my opinion. But the pride thing was no less. Like, I was so happy, but like, I could see every team in the OHL drafting him, like, roughly around where he was drafted. Whereas in the NHL, it's like a lot different. Someone has to really like you, because there's, like, it's putting a piece to a puzzle, right? Even though it's a draft. So yeah, it's a good question though.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know. Yeah.
It just popped in my head because you did both, so it's another unique perspective to add to your resume of unique perspectives on hockey stuff. But anyhow,
yeah, it's amazing. But like, so the draft itself is, so you're all happy and all that kind of stuff. But then, like, for me, for parents and kids, when that day happens for you, you should be happy. You should celebrate it, because it is an awesome thing. But I think the next thing that you have to realize is, whether it's your first round pick, or your late pick, what that did for you is, it opened a door. It opened a door to make a team. It really did. It opened a door to make a team. You can look at that as a negative or a positive, because, like, that sounds like, if you're a second or third round pick, you say, well, it opened the door. It's like, no, I'll make it. No, not really. And if you're a 15th round pick, it's like, it opened a door for you. Like, you can do something. Like, there's no guarantees, and that's the beautiful thing. It's a positive thing. It opened a door for you to become a prospect in the NHL, but to have your school paid for, and to play in the best development league in the world. And it's actually really cool. So that's the one thing that I would say is, like, be happy, because now your doors are open. And even though some guys, you might say, I was a 13th round pick, like, how open is the door? Well, it's open more than a kid that wasn't drafted. And, like, you have to just do something to stand out, which goes a little bit later in my thing. And then the other experience, and this is where parents can help their kids, is, like, understanding that training camp is the next step, right? A development camp, training camp. And the training camp is it's really interesting because even as parents, you have there's going to be some doubt. I would hope. I mean, maybe some people are wired differently, but there's a little bit of doubt and hope. But like when you look at your son moving away for the first time, and we were talking about this the other day. I was saying this like, no matter what, I was talking to Charlie about this. I said, no matter what, this is why I think sports is such a good thing. Like especially hockey to this level. The greatest thing is like I don't know how many people at 16 years old, 15, 16 or 17 years old have to walk into a room where they don't know anybody and walk into a place where they don't know anybody, have to battle people, but we're all fighting for the same spot. Yet have to be able to communicate and somewhat get along with each other, even though you might tear each other's heads off and you're in a competition. And anybody that does that comes out a better person if they, like they should, right? Because you're walking in a room and you're under pressure to try to make a team and you don't know anything around you, right? You're probably impressed by a lot of things, right? So I know when he went to Guelph, it was, even for us, it's like this is the rink that he's going to grow up in, right? And it's really cool. And we haven't even seen a thing yet. The camp comes and there's like really good hockey players, and you start going, oh wow, there's a player, and then you start going, oh, my kid's actually good enough, because this is a really good league, and the coach is not giving you hugs and kisses. They're like, hey, if you get that. It's like the real world of hockey now, right? So the kids are nervous, they're excited, and they're trying to. Everything's new, right? And if you think about it, you go and might be the first time in your life you walk into a room where you're basically naked, and they start pinching your body, see how fat you are. That's new. That's not necessarily fun unless you're like a jack show, right? If you're a kid that's you never had a chance to get into the gym yet, which many kids at that age haven't, right? And they're really really skinny, or they're really tall and skinny, or they're little bit of pudge on them because they're 16. It's like there's a moment. Coach is looking at you with a furry eyeball, going,
Yeah,
right?
Judgment.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. You're being judged all the time, so you're getting judged by people that matter to you too. It's not just, that you want to be validated. Like, okay, that's good, that's good, that's good. You get to make the team, right? So there's all these new things. You're eating. You're going to try sticks, skates, equipment. You're getting stuff, and you're getting gear, and you're like, I'm actually feeling part of that. So just that first initial thing could be overwhelming, and you don't even get to maybe you don't perform the way you think you should have, right?
Yeah,
Because it's your first time. So like it's really neat. So I think that's important going in there to understand that for your kid, like when you're talking to your kids, it's like try to stay focused, like all those mental toughness cues is really important for you and your kid to go through, because it's a big deal, and until you get used to it, right?
yeah,
So yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a question on that?
Yeah. So, was there at any point? I feel like we're gonna end up talking about the younger ages afterwards. But was there any point as you saw Charlie going through the step to the OHL where you started to notice whether it was maturity, mindset shift, the way he was behaving was different, um, not in a negative way, like in a positive or negative, whatever, just the development of him as a human being. Were you noticing specific things happen after he took that step? Because now he's moved away, he's living away from home, and were there things clearly in your mind that were happening, or did it just feel like a gradual shift where all of a sudden he was becoming, whether it was more able to take care of himself or the way he was speaking to you was different, his certainty and how he was making decisions was different? Was there anything you noticed in terms of that mindset shift for him? Again, dad hat, reflecting on his behavior and how he does things. Was there anything that stood out to you or Christine of just things that were changing during that time?
Not that you would see it day by day, but you would see it like when he came home at Christmas. Not that just like a much more mature, different. Not what a great kid, but a different great kid. He was just like way more mature. Like just I got this. Like I've been doing this for 3 months. It was a really neat thing that way. When he moved away, but see, here's the thing, right? This is one of the things that I gave him advice when he moved away. I said, when you move away, understand that. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit, but you got to wait your turn to be a rock star in this thing. So like when you go into this team, it's shut your mouth, speak when you're spoken to, more or less, work real hard. Make sure when the coach is talking that your eyes are always there and they know that you want to be there, like your body language is always good. And when the shit work that needs to be done, you need to do it. You just got to earn your spot on your spot on the totem pole. You're a nobody right now, and that's kind of what he did, and it earned him but he made friends right away because he's that type of guy. So he was always around the older guys, but he soaked it in, right? Like he was always good to the trainers, and he always had conversations at the rink with the people that are in the background that make actually stuff happen. And so that way, he didn't have a problem with that at all. There was no real problems, and his maturity was. Um, he really looked forward to seeing us at the games after just for a few minutes, and I was really glad we were there for most of them. And when he came home for Christmas, that's when I saw there was a big difference in him. Like he just grew up very, very quickly.
Yeah,
that's what I would say.
I noticed junior hockey does that. Like it's not even doesn't have to necessarily even be the OHL, but especially the OHL, just because it is more grown up type decisions and all that. Because a lot of kids playing junior still live at home and stuff like that too. But I even noticed that with Yako when he came back. He's been gone for 1 year, and he comes back. I'm like, this is a different kid. The way he can speak, how he socializes, he's more of a and everybody's development is going to look different and what that means when you move away. Because Charlie was always a mature kid, even before he left. Just things like social behavior, like social norms, how to behave around adults, how to behave around your buddies, and understand those dynamics too. But then I contrast that with a kid like Yako, who's a lot more shy, a little more quiet to himself. And first day he came back to school here a month ago or whatever now, came right to the door, knocked on the door. Hey, how you doing? Shook my hand, like, good to be back. Had like a little conversation back and forth. I'm like, geez, like, you'd have never said that last year.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting to see that kind of development track. It must be unique from the parent lens, kind of seeing that happen to your kid, right?
Well, you know what else is neat is that you go into that training camp and you know the names of the kids that were drafted, maybe some of the kids on the team, but what you're going to realize if your son makes the team is that those younger guys that are on that team or that make the team with him, they will be his best friends. Like they're going to be so tight, and it's because that's who you have to rely on, right? That's number one. The people that you rely on the most are your teammates there.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah. Cool. So that's kind of cool. So now if you make it, now and this is good for parents and players too. Like when you make it, now it's a whole new world. Your world has been upside down. For good and bad, right? You're in a new city, you got all these different experiences and stuff like that. But the one thing that I would say is most often, even though you made the team and you think that you might be different, most of you that make it your first year, you're going to be limited to how much ice you're going to get, period. Very few kids, and there are exceptions, or you get to a circumstance where team, you fit into a spot where you're getting third line ice instead of fourth. But that's going to be one of the biggest shocks in your world is that you're a good hockey player that doesn't get to play as much. And that was, you did a talk about this a few weeks ago, waiting your turn, right? It's not waiting your turn, but it's earning your turn. But you might have to wait to prove that. And I think a lot of kids, this is the biggest shocker this is the biggest thing I see with parents parents and kids together is that everybody wants to get on the ice and be a star now. Like when so like Charlie's first year, he was the star on the team was Sasha Pastujov.
Oh yeah,
right.
Jeez.
So Sasha
was him. Yeah.
So Sasha was 3.5 years older. So Charlie was he thought he was having a good camp and stuff. And then Sasha came back. He was drafted to Anaheim, and they sent him back from Anaheim back to Guelph, and he went on the ice, and he was on the ice the whole game. Him and Zelkin and, some of the older guys. And, I could see Charlie saying, I just want to get on the ice more. That's how he said it. He said in the little kid's words, I just want to get on the ice more. And, I tried to be positive to him and say, you will get your turn. But parents can get really sidetracked by that too. And if it doesn't happen by, like, a lot of people would think, okay, after your first year, the second year, you're going to get it, but it's still earned and it's still whatever. So I would say, like, if you're in this league, if you get to this league and your first year, you're even getting scratched even a little bit, like, it's just not your time to be a star in this league. Like it's not. So like, go back to everything I said is both as parents and kids is like, earn everything you could possibly get. You got to earn everything. Right. But while you're doing that, learn as much as you can. And if your eyes are wide open and your brain's open, you're asking questions and you're working hard and you're doing all the right things, like all of them, then you do give yourself a better chance. Maybe things happen sooner or later. But to me, even kids like in their draft year, like parents get really worried about the ice in the draft year, the team they're on in the draft year, hope it's good. It's like, it's actually not that important. It's like how you play the game while you're out there is what's important. So a lot of people get really bent out of shape about the ice time and all these different things in year 2 when they're 17 or 18. But in the OHL, you're going to be someone to be relied on when you're 18 and 19. That's just the way it is, with the exceptions here and there. So, and then when you have those 2.5 years, 3 years maybe, but let's say 2 years where you are on the first, second line, you're on the power play, you're killing penalties, you're getting the overtime, you're getting the pull the goalie, odd mans and all that kind of stuff. When you're on the ice all the time, you forget those first 2 years because your time is now and you're the important one. And all of a sudden there's a poster of your son or your poster of you, all over the rinks, and you're the marketing guy for the team, and you think the team never existed without you. But if you went back 2 years, it's like, well, like I'm here too. But it just takes time. And that's the biggest thing that I would say that I saw with parents and kids is like when things don't go exactly the way they want on their timeline, then it's like trade me, get the agent involved, and they get all bitter. But it's like, it's just, there's a process to it. 18, 19 years old, right?
So we were talking about this earlier today. I was going through the North American Hockey League teams, the NAL, and looking at some players. We have that Matterhorn event coming up, and I'm just looking through the rosters and some of these guys. And I was looking at D specifically. Almost every single team, I went through every team. Almost every single team is let's say they have 8D on the roster, 5 or so are 2006 or 2005 born players this year. That's the oldest possible, right? And so if you think you're going to jump into one of these teams, and the reason this is important for me, because I remember jumping into junior, same thing, thinking, oh, how am I not playing more? How am I not? I'm better than him. And maybe I had some skill that was better, but I didn't know how to play in the league yet. But no one ever told me. Nobody ever said, hey, this is part of the process. The older guys get the priority because they're older than you.
And they're trusted.
And they've proven themselves and they've done their time. And there's an element of that that's important. And you're just not going to jump in and take their spot unless you're the exceptional guy. But even the exceptional guy, like we looked at Connor McDavid his first year in Erie, he had a point a game. It wasn't like he was 5 points a game dominating the league. And that's one of the best players that's ever played. But that's the best. That's the extreme of the extreme. So for me, jumping into my first year of junior, I was a fine player, but like nothing special, right? And to expect I'm gonna jump in and be a priority is just not the reality. And parents and players, families, and the organizations to those families, we do a poor job preparing them for that reality or getting them to understand that message. And maybe it's not the coach's job to do it at that level or whatever, but there's just not a lot of education for the players that are going to make that jump, that you just are not going to be the priority as much as you want us to cater to you. That's not the reality. So if you get a junior team that's going to say, yeah, we'll give you this, that, the other thing, when you're going to be a first year player, probably pretty unlikely that you're going to be their best guy, top 2, top 3 as a D or top 6 as a forward.
Very, very slim.
Unless you really jump in and make a splash and earn it. Like the other guy we were talking about, the local kid that plays on Barrie is Edgar. He's awesome. He was maybe of that 09 age group, he was one of my favorite guys in how he plays. The game in Brantford, he might have played a couple shifts. And does that mean he's no good? No, it doesn't mean he's no good. He's 16.
He's gaining a lot of experience here.
And so I think that's an important thing to linger on for a second of just, you need to really, really grasp that as a parent, as a player. Making the jump is it's nothing personal. That's the reality. It's nothing personal to you as a player. There's just other guys. There's a lot of players. I'm looking through the rosters for this Matterhorn thing. There's kids from all over North America, prep school, AAA, junior leagues all over the place. There's players everywhere. And all of them are pretty good. Like all of them are pretty good. They're playing at a pretty good level. And so it's just a big pool. And I can't stress that enough to try to help prepare your kids for the fact that you're not going to just jump in and be the guy that gets everything right away. It's very, very, very rare,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like, so this is the biggest thing is when that year or two when you're going through there, you got to look at it like, and this is hard to do without hindsight. Once you get to your third, fourth year, if you last that long, you're going to realize that that first year was necessary and that second year might have been necessary. No one, no one screwed you, even though sometimes you do get screwed in certain ways, but no one screwed you. It's just a process, and it's like it's how you handle it, right? It's going to happen. How you handle it. Like we have so many guys that are superstars, and they get in there and they get reamed for the first time in their life. They're sitting on the bench crying because no one yelled at them before, right? It's going to happen. But the key is, both as a family, is like how do you respond when this happens? And the answer is like, don't call your agent and ask for a trade, because it's the same thing somewhere else, right? Might be worse, right? They might be, a team might be deeper. They might have different plans for you, right? It's embrace the roles that you have, and like that's something I always told my son, and I tell people that go into these different roles, different from different people going into to different teams is, what do I expect? It's like, you don't expect, just go in there and work your butt off. Find out what they want from you. Like, George Burnett from day one told Charlie to play in straight lines, get the puck deep, finish hits, shoot when you can, get the puck out of your end. Anything else? Nothing else to be said. And he never said it with a big smile and drew a picture. That's what he said for about 30 times. So that's what my kid did for the first year. And if he made a mistake getting the puck off the wall and getting it out, you could have 20 excuses. But the fact is, the puck didn't get out, so I can't trust you yet. So to my kid's credit, he spent time doing the 4 or 5 things that made him a player in the league. Is set the foundation. So if you skip that part, you want to just rush to the next part, like you're doing yourself a disservice. So as a family, are you in the gym? Are you working hard in the gym? Are you doing all these things that are going to make you a better player? Because what you're doing your first year, for the most part, most people, you're just getting experience in that league. You're good enough to be there, but you're not a key cog in the wheel. You're contributing. So that's what you want to look at, is how can I contribute to this team? So that's why I think it's great when you see a young guy that gets it. So I remember on Charlie's first year, there was him, McGuire, and Chase Colton were aligned for most of the time. And they were just a terror. They'd go out and they'd run people. George would send them out with the last 40 seconds in a game where they're up or down. He'd say, guys, behave. And then they'd start just be a shit show out there, because they'd go, but that's what they needed. They needed the guys to understand their role. They didn't need you to score. And they when they got goals, it was a bonus to their team, but they became valuable to their team. Heavy hitters, wear guys down for the eight shifts they got in a game, or 10 shifts they got in a game. So make yourself valuable. So that's the number one thing, is find the thing that work towards being valuable to your team, so that the coaches get that you're here for the team. Be a team guy, and it's really hard to do sometimes. So waiting your turn, work hard, be that's the thing. And then with that, I kind of just said that is figure out a way to carve your identity, right? Like bring something to the table that makes you a valuable player, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, because most guys don't make it. Like most guys don't make it in that league, let alone make it through 4 or 5 years in the OHL. Like there's a huge number of people that just don't get through. They don't get 4 years in, or they finish 3 years, because they either get in late, didn't figure it out, or when they do make it, it's like at the end of the road. And there's a ton of guys that just don't make 3 years. They don't play a career. So without understanding what you have to do to be there, like you need to figure that out. Like, and that's where parents can really help, right? Guiding the right way.
I think I'm trying to figure out how to, while you're talking, I was thinking of this thing. I'm trying to figure out how it fits. Pretty much the mindset of being able to solve the problem. So when you're saying carve an identity, figure out how you can contribute, these things it's all problem solving. Like that's what you're doing. That's the greater skill, which is just more of like a life skill. Cause I'm even thinking about it with the job here, is like all I'm doing every day is trying to solve problems. Like that's all day. That's what it is. And as a player, it's very similar, especially when you're the new guy. There's going to be a problem at some point. Let's say the problem is I'm not getting enough ice time. Like, how can I solve the problem? And adults would understand this at your work. If there's a problem, like most of the time, the answer is not, I'm going to quit my job. Yep. I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. Yep. That's not really. So just a piece of advice that I'm feeling related to what you're saying is maybe even for the younger kids, if you're on a AAA team, a double A team or whatever, and there's an issue, like something's not going your way, obviously there's a limit where the answer might be we need to leave or change teams or whatever. But in general, just how can I solve the problem? And if you're a parent, how can I help my kid to solve the problem, to make it work where they are? Because that's always going to be something that happens. You're going to constantly jump into a new environment where the kid doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what they're supposed to do. They don't have clear instructions. No one has told them what the deal is. No one told them what the next 4 years is going to look like. And they have to figure it out. And a lot of times, I think more and more, and maybe it's a little bit of that entitlement thing, or parents not having patience, players not having patience. They want to jump around or leave or call the agent or all the things you just said. And there's not enough emphasis on, can we actually solve this problem first before we decide to do something else or leave or whatever? And that's true now even in AAA. So there's the open borders, there's all this stuff, and you can jump around and do whatever you want. If one thing goes wrong, you're like, I'm out of here. How do we make it work here? How can I? Because if you can do that in places that aren't optimal, if you're lucky enough to get to a place where it is optimal, you'll be even farther ahead. But I think a lot of times the player and the family, they're looking for the optimal situation, and it just doesn't exist. There isn't an optimal situation.
You can always find
there's
problems.
always a problem. There's always a problem. There's always something that, even if you're the best player on the team, the problem could be, well, I don't have somebody on my line to pass to me, or I don't have somebody to work with, or I hear that kind of stuff all the time too. It's like, what happened to the value of try to figure out how to make it work? Unless it's a really serious issue, that maybe that makes sense, that there's a limit, but how can we solve the problem? And I think that was a great 4-year, 5-year stretch for your kid. And there was things before that, and there's going to be things after that, but it was a lot of that. It was a lot of solving the problem. And then
it was always solving problems.
And then once he was the guy, it was still problems. Yeah. It's like, now I'm the guy. Yeah, I get to play all this time, but now there's the problem of, well, this isn't really how I'm going to play when I go to the next level. Or, well, our team's just really not that strong, and I want to,
we're always rebuilding.
Yeah, we're always rebuilding. Like, you weren't the guy, and now you are the guy. There's a problem all the time. So how are you going to solve it? And so I wanted to beat that to death a little bit, because I think, just in my read and my experience with the kids that we have, and then obviously talking with the older kids and junior and stuff, there's just isn't really enough emphasis placed on understanding that. Like, how can I make myself, like, take responsibility to make yourself valuable to add to the situation that you're in,
Yeah. Well, it always comes back to, like, and again, it is the most important thing, is understanding that it's not supposed to be easy. First of all, if it was easy, everybody would do it, but it's not. It's one of the hardest things you're ever going to do in your life. Number two, there's always going to be an issue. Like, you're never going to be completely happy, because there's always going to be something. It always will be, because there's a lot of moving parts in this. And then the other thing that I always remember is, like, if you're going to be a hockey player, but kind of like in everything, is if resilience is just understanding that, like, I just need to get to this was good or this was bad, and I'm going to do my absolute best till the next disappointment comes. And then I'm going to be disappointed in something else, but I got to do my best till the next disappointment comes. And they might come one right after another, right? But it could be, you think, like, for example, maybe you're in your draft year. Like, maybe up until this point, you don't really know what I'm talking about, because maybe you're a first or a second round pick or a third round pick or a free agent or whatever, and you just happen to be on a team that, you fit on the third line. And we don't, and it happened to Charlie, not that he was a guy. He was actually had ice taken away his second year, or third year maybe, because one of his good buddies now came in, and he just happened to be slotted not on the fourth line and whatever. And Charlie and his coach at the time, it wasn't like, it was never, this makes sense. There always seems to be an issue with it, just an issue. And Charlie had to fight for everything he had, which is good. But this other guy got a chance. He got chances, man. He got chances. And that was a disappointment, because that was my turn. But anyways, as time goes on, you could go on that. You could be that kid that's a first round pick, or you get that, I'm in a third round slot, so I don't know what it's like to only play 3 meaningless or 4 really short shifts in a period. I don't know. And then maybe you get enough ice, and maybe you touch a power play and you're doing some things. Your confidence is high, and you really still don't understand what I'm talking about. What do you mean disappointments or whatever? Let's say you have a really good year, and let's say maybe the disappointment comes that you felt like you had a good year, and the NHL draft, which you thought you were going to get, doesn't happen. That's a disappointment. Like you can see, a lot of people can say, well, yeah, but no, that's a disappointment for that kid. How do you respond now? Am I not good enough? Like it's actual, how do I respond to this? And but you could be another kid that makes a team or doesn't make the Guelph Storm and gets sent down to junior B, get called up for a game, score a goal, and then get sent back down, and you don't know when you're coming back up. It's getting to the next disappointment. And the more that you understand that you get there, something that doesn't go your way is going to happen, and you have to dust it off. You can feel shame for like about 3 seconds, and then you got to move on. And then you got to go to the next one because they're coming and coming. And the faster, the more disappointments you have going along the way, it just means that you're moving along better, right? It's like a salesperson that never gets a no. It's because he's not calling people. He's not actually going out selling. Your sales ratios, or when you're building a business, should be no, you're dumb, that's stupid. That's what you hear all the time until you get one yes, and you do all the work. And if your perspective is, let's say if I'm a stockbroker, which I'm not, and I have a list of 1,000 names, I start with one, and if that's a yes, that's a good day. But you're probably going to go through about 900 no's and to get to the one yes. But the one yes is your payday. So like if your mindset is, I just finding my first yes to my second yes, and everything in between doesn't really matter. And if you look at that in the game, it's like do the work, get to the next disappointment, and you're moving on.
I was gonna say that's a great analogy, by the way. The salesman, just like no, yeah. 1,000 no's until you get a yes. Because the way I was gonna ask you, I don't know if you feel the same or not, but when I think back playing, hockey was grind, get a win. Grind, get a win. Grind. It wasn't just win. Everything's good. I feel good about all the time. It was scattered moments that make the grind worth it, but the grind is the majority of the time. And it's not just physical grind, mental grind. You using the word disappointments is another way of saying it. Just things not going well. If it's mostly things not going well, and then the few scattered moments where things are really click, make all the other shit kind of worth it. And if you can stick it out for long enough, then maybe you'll end up getting somewhere. But for the most part, it's a lot of that. There's not very many guys that have been through higher level sports that I think would say, yeah, it was just great all the time. I think most people wouldn't say that,
No, it's not. It's not. It's incredible, man. Like, yeah. So I think that's one of the things. I think parents that understand that too is it's probably very helpful for their kids. I mean, kids don't want to always hear like, that's the conversation I had with Charlie the one time when I was like giving him advice, and it was good advice, but it wasn't appropriate timing. That's where I said, okay, you let me know. But I think it's always remember it's if your kid's mature and you talk to them the right way, they're going to understand this. Okay, yeah, that's right, right? Like you just understand. Like, listen, here's the job: 50 phone calls. You need one yes out of every 50 phone calls. You're going to get a yes. So do you after 8 say? It's just a fact. It's 50 phone calls you're going to get. That's how you're going to make $1,000. Let's say every 50. But like most people don't have the resilience or don't believe in themselves or get rejected or don't like the disappointment, right? So the people that are the most willing to go through and just the grind is the ones that are going to have the success at the end, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So the next thing I just wanted to touch on is like your coaching in the OHL and pro and moving forward is typically what you're going to find is most people don't have one coach for 4 years. Right. So that's one of the things I told Charlie. I said, you're probably going to have 3-4 coaches. And so his OHL career was George, Chad, Scott, Corey, 5 years, 5 coaches. And it's not a bad thing on the organization. It's just things change, right? So, and that's the other thing. You could think everything's great. There's another disappointment, right? You think you're in a great situation. All of a sudden the team sells, got a new coach, fire a GM and stuff, and that person doesn't like you or they love you. Okay, could go either way. So that's why it's important that you have your identity and you just do the hard work and understand certain things. Your coaches will not talk to you. They're probably not going to talk to you like a lot.
Like
have conversations.
The player or the parent?
Both. Yeah. So the coaches are not going to talk to you. They might give you a hi, hello, nice to meet you. Some are a little more friendly, but not typically. You don't have the influence that you thought you used to have. So all the years as you thought you'd talk to the coach about something and just hash something out with the coach. Let's just talk. It's like now it's your kid's job to do. And the sooner that you learn that, the better off you and your kid are going to be. And the more respect that the coach is going to have for the kid. So now when you get to these levels, like they're not like they're not complete Neanderthal idiots coaching, right? There's actually some very smart people doing this, and they understand. But you have to make kids tough enough, right? So it's a league where everyone's fighting for the same thing, to win and to get a job somewhere else, and the mature kid wins. So if you have an issue with coaching, or if you want to know about your ice time and stuff, like it's not really the best. Like you can use your agent, but it's not your best tool. Your best tool is like to put your big boy pants on and ask the coach, like, what do I need to improve, or whatever the conversations is. So you learn how to talk to an adult. Because the thing is, like, when you as a player, even though things might be the worst thing ever, if you have the nuts to ask for a talk, and to go in the office with his feet up or whatever, and you got a guy that has no hair and an eyebrow that looks like a caveman and has scars all over his face and is 60 years old or something, it's an intimidating situation. And this guy might have control of your whole life. But at the end of the day, if you talk to them appropriately and you have intellectual conversations, and do it for the right reasons, when you walk out of that room, if they don't tell you that, I'm proud of you for walking in here and having the guts to do that, rather than your agent, when you walk out, they're sitting there going, that kid's got something that most kids don't have. So that's the thing that I would ask you to, or tell parents and kids to work on, is to be able to have a communication skill with the parent or with the coach. Go ahead.
So I'm going to ask a question.
Yeah.
On the coaching side, now thinking about, and I know you had your own experience in the OHL, but thinking about the experience with the coaching through the OHL, when you reflect now back to the minor hockey ages, dealing with the coaches or the types of coaching that he got, or whatever, you've talked about it in bits and pieces when we talk about coaching in general, but where have you landed now that, let's call the journey basically over? Where have you landed with your philosophy on the minor hockey coaching? So if you think of all the coaches he had from 10 to 16 when he got drafted, how impactful was it? How much does it matter? How much do you remember things that those guys did, or how they influenced your kid? Where do you feel like it did or didn't help how your kid developed in being a hockey player? Like those types of things. Like where do you land on the impact of the minor hockey coaching on where your kid ultimately is now?
Yeah, so I've got, not that I'm not saying you should have just let me got there, but like just down my list, like three things.
Sure.
No, it's not just, sorry, it works.
No, you're good.
It works. It's like, we'll use that as a segue sort of thing. Is like, I have something down here that mostly everything you thought was important is irrelevant. Yeah. So like, that's what I have right here. Like, it's everything you thought was important is pretty much not. So as you're growing up, and when I hear the parents talk about, I was just having a talk with one of the boys today about coming back next year, really good hockey player. And he has an opportunity to do something else, and he was asking my opinion. And one of the questions was like, a coach, what about this coach for this situation? And I basically told him that. I said, you're not going to learn all this stuff until you get to the OHL, or maybe junior B, junior A, maybe, but OHL for sure. Really? I go, it doesn't matter. So to your question is, what effect has coaching had on my son? Like in youth hockey, zero. What he could say is that, but this is what I would say that the effect is. He learned at a young age that some of the coaches in youth hockey will do a lot for their kids to play. He will say, like, some were really good guys, like they were funny. That's what he remembers. This one was funny. This guy was like, he was a good guy, made me laugh. We had fun. That's what he remembers. I'm not sitting here trying to make a story up. That's what they remember. What do I remember when I mean, that was a long time ago, but that's what I remember. And you were probably the same, right? I remember Mr. Rose. I always say he's my favorite coach. And I always said, and I told him that, I said, it's not because you knew hockey. It's because I liked the fact that you gave me a lot in life. You made practices fun, but you were hard on us. You taught us some systems that don't work in real hockey, right? If we had the puck and we didn't have ice, like if he would teach us to regroup in neutral zone. No, just don't come back. Well, if you did that in junior hockey, Wayne Maxer would have said, "Okay, go down to going to play down junior B. When you learn how to play hockey, you come back, right?" But I remember him being a guy that was fit, and he intrigued me with that, and he cared about me. That's what I remember about Mister Rose. And other than that, there wasn't a youth hockey coach that helped
Yeah.
me at all in hockey.
That's the same, exact
Yeah,
same.
and you remember you had a couple guys that
Yeah.
you didn't like
Yeah.
as people.
Yeah, the only one like, on the hockey side, the only guy I remember liking was Billy. And then on the human level, I only liked one other one of all the coaches that I had. And I had so many coaches, you know, where I was like, oh, this is a good guy, this is a good role model, this is a guy that influenced me positively. Do you remember moments? I'm trying to make the relationship of parents that are going through it that don't know any better or haven't been, you know, having a kid at a higher level yet or whatever. There are things that can happen that seem really important, or it seems really negative, impactful, positive or negative, whatever. Do you remember those types of things happening? Like, I don't need like specific examples necessarily, but do you remember moments where, wow, this is really not good for my kid, or this is really good for my kid, or whatever, through those AAA years, only to, you know, now where you're at saying it really didn't actually matter that much, but at the time it was like, wow, this could be really negative, or this could be really positive. My point of
Yeah,
bringing
no,
this up,
I'm just thinking. I'm trying to get to something. Go ahead.
yeah, but my point of bringing it up is that what I would think, provided you find some of these moments that or can recall some of these moments, there are things that you will perceive as, this is really serious, like this is really going to be a negative, or wow, this is the best situation ever, this is really going to be a positive. But down the road, it's going to be not really. Doesn't actually matter that much.
Not for me. Like, I'm trying to think of like.
So there's one example I remember you telling me before of, there was a coach that maybe had it out for your kid a little bit because of you. Like, so let's use that as an example. There's a coach that, you know, doesn't like your kid just because he has a little, whether it's a jealousy thing for you or a judgment thing from you or whatever it is as a hockey guy. At the time that was happening, do you remember that being like, maybe we shouldn't be here, maybe we should look to leave, maybe we should this, that? Like, how did you handle that situation? Because ultimately now you're saying, yeah, none of that stuff really
it
mattered
didn't
at all.
matter. Really,
Yeah.
it was like what Jocko says. Bad, well, good. It was always good. It was always good because it gave me an opportunity to show my son what adversity is at a very young age, right? Whether I don't know if that was 14 or 12, whatever it was, but he was playing AAA, and there's a couple of coaches, like, it was almost like, your dad's pretty successful in hockey and I'm going to give it to you. Like, weird, right? But it was okay. Like, it was really okay because that gave my son an opportunity to say, like, see how people are, Charlie, right? They have their own agendas, but like, let's go confront this. Let's go talk. Let's go deal with it. Let's go show them that you're better than what they have. No choice but to play you more. And if you just have the will to be better than them, right? So it was not a negative, but it was a teaching point for my son. And I'm just fortunate that my wife and I had a brain that we could teach in those moments and not be negative, because we weren't. We like, maybe my wife and I together saying, like, this ass, like, he's gonna actually take his own self-esteem and his own jealousy out on a 14-year-old kid that's a great kid and is a great hockey player. All right, but like, her and I would talk about it a little bit, but we would never get the message that, Charlie, you're getting screwed here. Like, or we would say it along those terms, but we're going to fix this and we're going to show you why this happens. I think it served them really, really well. And as far as like, is there anything in youth hockey that we can remember that was that important or not that important? No, like nothing. Like, a lot. And because I'm thinking of what are the important points of what most people would think are critical, like ice time. If I don't ice time or winning team and coaching, like, let's say that's probably the thing. If I play on a winning team, that's better. Well, my son played on mostly losing teams until he got to Bantam, and he was one of the reasons that they won. So that's a good thing. So he learned how to carry a team. He learned how to be. He wasn't the best player when he was young anyway, so he was just a good player. So he learned how to become better. He learned how to be the best player, and then he learned how to win. And then so the best team didn't really matter. Playing on the ice time really didn't matter because it's what you do when you have your ice. And I never got concerned about it, neither did he. And what was the other one I was saying? Coaching. It didn't matter. Nothing. Like I said, he doesn't remember his coaching. Didn't learn anything about hockey. A lot of people say, well, that's how could that be? It's just it is what it is. That's really the reality.
Yeah, I think it's more a function of, even if you have a, let's say you're perceiving that you have the best coach ever that can really teach your kids hockey, the kids just don't pay attention. Like that's like absorbing the info. So even if you have a guy that's really trying to teach you, you're only absorbing so much. So it's not even that, like, because people might hear that and say, well, he would have done even better if he had a better coach. And it's like, well, not really, because there's only so much he's going to listen to and actually absorb when he's 13, 14, 15, you know?
If you get a foundational truth, right? And that's, I think, well, I know that that's something I gave my son when he played hockey. The foundational truths where if you work really hard doing this, this, and this, doesn't matter about goals, doesn't matter about anything else, that will be a foundation for you to be a good hockey player, right? Going to the net, back checking hard, trying to be good, getting pucks out, making other people better, and understanding it and building on that. That was his foundation. If a coach gave him that, that would be really good, right? So there's things that a good coach can do, like at a young level, that, but it's not like the systems are going to change, right? Like we were just talking the other day, someone was saying that cycling is gone, like the down low cycling is gone in hockey, and it's like it is, but it isn't, right? The foundations are there. So like if you taught your kids how to do this and you're cycling in a corner, when you get to the OHL, it's like, okay, perfect, we'll swarm and you're done, right? So like everything changes. So like the principles of hockey are good, but it's like the kids don't remember that. They're going to learn when they're 16, 17 years old. The other thing along with the coaches, like the agents, you know, like they're people build up the agents to be such a big important piece of hockey. And I've said this before, there's certain times where they're very important. Like Charlie's going through something right now where there's a value. Like I see where this plays a big part, because he's the middleman, right? He's fighting for, like, it's like the union rep now, fighting for your life. What's your rights? And if the team gets pissed off at you as opposed to the agent, it's two different things, right? So with usually, for mostly, I'm just going to say mostly, the agents are useless unless you just want to use them all the time, which is not necessary. Most of your problems that you can get in at the OHL level, most of the problems that you have or issues that you think are problems aren't problems, and most of them you can solve yourself. And like you could say, like, well, what about the draft? It's like, well, your agent can't get you drafted. Actually, can't, right? So if you think that you need an agent to get drafted, that's not true. What the agent could have is some information on maybe teams have communicated that we like, and they have talks with them, but it doesn't change anything, right? Because if I call you Eric and you're representing little Eric, and I say, Eric, tell me what he's like as a kid, what are you going to say about your client? He's the best, and that's all you're going to say. So the feedback isn't true. Or if you call and say, I just want to know how things are going, he's not getting ice, and we've got to deal with this thing. Well, the coach is going to say what? No, keep working hard. It's like useless information. That's why the player needs to go in there and have a conversation and figure it out. It's growing, right? But the agents are important to definitely important at certain times. But the rush and the importance, people firing agents at before they've done anything in hockey, right? And then you also have to understand, I'm not saying this is everybody, but like when agents are there to make money, they're not there to, like, they care about you as long as you're making the money. If you don't make the money, then why would they care about you? They don't want to be your friend and be on the phone 20 times a day for you. So like if they see potential in you making the money, they're going to do some work for you, right? But so at the end of the day, you need them to, like, when you have your NHL contracts and stuff like that, that's what you kind of need them for. You could probably do without, but like there's a time and a place for it. But the importance that people put on an agent at 14, like, because it's a race to get the best kids, right? That's no secret, but it's what you do in between is mostly what you can do is work hard and do the things, have conversations, right? So that's what I would say about mostly that. A lot of the stuff. So that's what I was saying about. There's a lot of things that are in the game that you thought was so important that they really it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your team won when you were in
Yeah,
U14. It
yeah.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because when you go into that camp, like we talked about earlier, you could have won the OH whatever championship 3 times in a row, but if the kid from freaking Elgin, Ontario is on the ice with you and he outplays you every shift, those championships mean nothing, right? So
Yeah.
that's that. Yeah.
That's a huge emphasis point for me is you go through it, and if the logic is, getting these extra cookies because I'm on a good team or whatever are gonna equate to better opportunities later, you have to be good. Like you have to be good. So it doesn't matter what you did when you were, 12, 13, 14, 15, and how many times you won this tournament or went to the Brick tournament or went to the Quebec tournament and won this and that and did all these things and all these spring hockey things. It doesn't matter. If you're good, that's what matters. And when you go to the camps and the GMs are watching you, they're not watching you and saying, "Oh yeah, he played for this team and they won the OHL Cup last year, so that means he's good."
Yep.
It's like,
Well,
right?
you know what else doesn't matter? Like, and I've got it right here, is like where you were drafted. It actually matters that you got drafted in the first, second, and third round. Like, it's a compliment. And this is what I went to the first thing. When you go to that camp, you look around and go, there's a lot of good players here. It's a compliment and it's an honor and it gives you a leash. Like, you got a better chance of probably making it. But like I'm telling you right now, where you're drafted doesn't mean that you're going to play ahead of if you're drafted in the first round, doesn't mean you're going to play in 2-3 years that you're going to be drafted ahead of everybody else, or if you're going to be on the first line because you're a first round pick. It doesn't go that way. And I've seen this so many times. And this is, you guys were asking me earlier, how do I know everything about everything in the OHL and like any hockey player? It's because I'm intrigued by this study, because like I'm validating what I thought I knew and what I know, and the truths of like what's changed since I've played. And at the end of the day, the guy that has the most compete in him truly is the guy that makes it, right? So I look at, like, for example, Charlie's first year. There's a kid that was drafted in the 14th round to the Sioux Greyhounds. So what are the chances of him being a high-end player? Well, he ended up getting drafted 5th round to the Edmonton Oilers, signed right away. I think the most goals he's got was in the 20s, but he usually had like pretty good penalty minutes. And his name is Connor Clattenburg. And then Connor Clattenburg was a 14th round pick in the OHL, didn't play his first year, came back the next year, fought as many times as he could. He was like, he was not really a threat on the ice other than he was going to knock your head off. And then he started turning into a playmaker because he created room. He was a 14th round pick that has NHL games under his belt now. That is playing in the American League. And there's countless guys like that. Like, I'm just looking at the series that Brantford was playing against Barrie and North Bay. In North Bay, Gervais was a 14th round pick, and there's several of these guys. And there's also in North Bay the first round pick that in the 05 group, that was their first round pick, didn't get out of the OHL. He ended up getting traded to Windsor and then Kingston Windsor, and then his career was over before he could truly finish his career. Happens all the time. And in Barrie has like they had another 14th round guy in Crombie, Calvin Crombie, and what's his name, Zabeski. They're both the overages there, and they're playing a role, right? So like you don't know who's going to make it. So that's the thing, is you have to come to work every day and be productive and be better than other people. And if you're not, you'll be out of the league and others won't. So like that's what I'm saying. I was like, what you think is important really isn't, only to a certain degree. You have to compete every day to have a job. That's how pro junior hockey and college hockey is. You don't just get to be the best guy. All this stuff in minor hockey is not junior hockey. It's not pro hockey anymore. It's a whole different ball game. So that's like when you asked me before about how do I know everybody? So because I'm so intrigued on, like, I would go to his first training camp and I saw a couple guys. I go, that kid wasn't drafted. He's pretty good. That kid was a 8th, 9th round. That guy's pretty good. And then you'd see them either make it or not, and then or you see, okay, that's why they didn't make it. How did that guy play in the league for 2 years? He's no good. And then he'd be gone. And like I would just keep up on everything. I loved this experiment.
So I just looked up Connor Clattenburg. So he was Ottawa Valley, and then he was a 10th round pick to the Sioux.
10th, okay,
10th
I thought
round.
It was 14th, yeah.
And then he.
So 10th is not third.
No, it's still late.
Right?
It's still late. Like 10, 14, like whatever. Jerv was 12. And yeah, 5th round pick to Edmonton. But I mean, we did it just last week or whatever that was, where we went through the draft, and like between 2nd round picks and all the way to 15th round picks, like you see, it's a there's no clear recipe or clear path, right? It just comes down to the individual. So
yeah. The next thing with that is like most guys don't get out of this league. They don't realize that all the things that you think are so important and stuff. Well, most guys don't even get out of this league. Most, like a few doors have opened, like the doors have opened, like the extended somewhat of this league is that you get to go, like you can go to NCAA, but not everyone's getting NCAA.
Dude, even U Sports, man.
I know
a bunch of these guys don't even make.
I know
Canadian University.
I know.
It's like it's hard.
Hockey changes.
Yeah,
and this is what all these talks we talk about when we're young about how important. Like we talked about this, and it's out of context because they see a clip and they say, "Oh." Someone told someone the other day that Andy said playing AAA U10 is not, you don't have to do that. So it's like, no, you don't have to. But the whole clip was about the urgency to get there and how important that is for your future. It's like there is no future. It's just you can do it. But this is the point of all this is at the end of the day, your best players that were growing up some end up being really good players, and some end up they're done before they even get to the OHL. It never happens. And then it's a war of attrition. It's a war of who works harder, who gets it, who's committed. All these different things are what things that are going to make it. And people can sit there and say, yeah, but if you didn't play spring hockey for this team, the brick, that, get the super trainer, get this, that, you won't make it. It's like, it's just not true. It's not true.
The more we talk about all this kind of stuff, it makes me think more about everyone's development path is so different. There's a science to some parts, but it's more of an art than a science of just figuring out your own kind of situation.
That's the thing is like, and for people that watch this, like this is just the truth, man. Like that's what I was saying before, like most of the things that you get all hung up about is just not worth it. Like, so like to my last point of this is just like strictly for parents is like after listening to most of this stuff, it's like really like it goes by fast, whether you have a long career or a quick one, right? Like we've had a couple kids like in our area that has played for Guelph, and it was like basically had 1 year, basically 1 year. So when you're in it, you get all worried, and then it's over. It's like you didn't enjoy it, or did you enjoy it? Is the question. So, like enjoy it. Like there's going to be ups and downs, and that's just life. Enjoy the process. If you get fortunate enough, and your son's worked hard enough to have an opportunity to put a jersey on. Try to be as loyal as you can to that and enjoy the thing. Enjoy the good, enjoy the bad, enjoy your son growing as a human. It's really important. And then from that, if you learn to enjoy this and you realize that there's just all of it is out of your control now as a parent. The only thing you control is getting to the games you can and having a decent attitude yourself and be a guide for your parents. That's like, or for your kid, because the coaching, the ice time, how good the team is, how bad the team is, the how they distribute the tickets for your team, like I'm not joking. These are real things for people, right? People will find a lot of reasons to be miserable, but all these things are right out of your control. So like the coaches coach, you have to, like, honestly, the more you have to trust the process. Like they're getting paid over very good money to coach to get to the next level. They want to win. They're professionals for the most of them, played professionally, like they get the game. So like when parents sit there and go, I don't know if we're going to be able to beat these guys. Like, the coach got to do this, this, and this. It's like, and I've told this to parents, I go, like, do you honestly think the guy that makes $200,000 a year, his job is on the line with his coaches on the bench and the general manager haven't thought exactly what you thought of? Like, do you think they skimmed over the way that we're going to beat this other team? They don't. They probably would. All the thought that you put into it, and it's a lot, multiply that by 6 people and with video and actually knowledge to actually come up with a game plan. So like let it go. And if it doesn't go your way, it's like it's out of your control. There's nothing you can do. The outcome's going to come from the coaching and the players. And there's absolutely nothing you can do. And it's really not important what you think. And if you think that, well, my son should be on a different line in this, it's like, just honestly, let it play out. Don't worry about it. Like just teach your kid to be good at whatever he is doing, right? And I would say like for parents um, is again just be the guide. Be the guide. Don't be overbearing. Just be the guide. Be someone that your kid could always go to, and maybe it's vent, maybe it's brag, maybe it's to be happy. Um, and you know I've made this mistake, not that it was projected on my son, but there was many times over the course of his thing where it was like, you know, mom and dad are weaned on a dill pickle for whatever reason, right? Whatever the little issue is or whatever, or you think something wasn't going your way or your kid's way, and the kid comes out with the biggest smile, happiest kid ever, and you go, well, what did I miss, right? Because that's not, it's your life, it's their life, you guide, hopefully get them the chance to succeed. Most guys aren't making it out. And if your kid makes it out, that's another bonus. And it just continues to get harder and harder and harder. And understand that basically everything's out of your control. Like everything. So that's what I would say. And then what I would say to parents as well, this is the last thing, and this is going to be the most unpopular thing, is embrace, like you can make some really good friends out of this thing. Like really good friends. And I would say that, you know, that might not be your most important thing, but like I always wanted my son to leave when he left Guelph, or if he leaves Dallas or whatever city he's in. I always wanted, and it's not really not important to some people, I get that, but I really wanted the people for him to leave a mark saying, okay, yeah, I remember that kid. He was a good kid. That kid did something here, like to remember. But I think also, like, I think parents can underestimate what they can do as well. And that's something I'm very proud of my wife for. I'm less of this person, but of course, what we did for our community, let's just call it the team community, just the team itself, is because I was a player and I was a dad, like I was a rookie dad at one time. It's always nice, even though you're competing for jobs, it's always nice to have someone come up to you and kind of show you the way. That's what leadership is. So I remember our first year, no one did that. And that's okay. I'm a big boy. I don't really care. But we did it to people. Like our first year. We got to, and one of the people we did it to was the Bushinger family. They were out there with, hey, nice to meet you. And we just started joking around, had a beer together. We always encouraged each other. And we became lifelong friends. We're really, really good friends with their family. Right. And does that matter to anybody? No, probably not. But what happens is the next year came in, and I remember the Mackenzies came in, and they were walking in, and they're new, and you could see that they were young parents going, oh my God, I'm so nervous for my kid. And they were walking by, and I said, you look like you're some new parents here. And they said, yeah. So which one's your kid? Oh, it's him. I said, oh, it's Hunter. I said, oh yeah, I heard he's a really good player. Oh, you did? And it just made them feel good. He was a second round pick, so he's probably going to be around. Why would I not do that? So that, like, if we're in a rink somewhere, we can say hi and we can grow together as a team, right? And they've become wonderful, wonderful friends. So, like, that's something that I always made sure we did, so that you know, parents, you know, if they come to Windsor, they didn't, you know, you have my number. Where do we eat, Andy?
Yeah, right.
It's not a bad thing to do, right?
Yeah.
So we've done that everywhere we went, what I think that was a positive thing. But what my wife did, which I'm very, very proud of her for, as much as it's a pain in my ass, is my wife went above and beyond. And she's just her nature, right? She's the nicest person in the world. And she bought more gifts for people in Guelph, but she made friends all over the place. But you know how that has been good? Like, it's not give to get, but like we had a couple restaurants that we'd go to and they would welcome us in, and we'd always get a round of beers or whatever. They come back, and if we needed anything, they'd set spots for us. But she didn't do it for that. But we could go to Guelph, and like half the booster club and everybody knows my wife because she was so good to them. And it was the classic treat everybody the same. And I mean, Stephanie, and it just built a huge friendship of people that, and here's the thing, right? It's a leadership principle too. A lot of these people that are working at the rink, they do it because they love it, or they have time on their hands and they're older or whatever reason. Take Stephanie, for example. She was one of the ticket girls, and like not for the Guelph Storm, but in the arena. And my wife was just great for her. So she would bake for my wife. But why would she do that? Because my wife made her feel important, right? You're just a lady taking tickets. But if you say, hi, how you doing? Good game, and you let them speak to you for a couple minutes, you're going to find out there's actually a lot of nice people out there. Some are going to help you immensely in life. But more importantly, it makes a bigger community. And I think, we always say we want to have our kids contribute to the community and stuff, but like it kind of starts with the parents sometimes too. I think that's another side that people forget that is a really huge thing, which makes all like, so if you come in this thing of like a lot of things I said, let your kid do it, grow up, right? Ask questions, enjoy the ride, and be part of the community, then it actually means something more to you, right? Means something more to you. So
that's a nice. I didn't think you were going to say anything like that as a pot, like from on the parent side. I think that's actually very useful information because you get into the competitive mindset as parents, even, right? And it's important to keep that kind of perspective. So maybe last question, then we'll shut her down. Where do you feel, this doesn't have to be a long answer unless you want it to be, where do you feel your mindset going next with in terms of being a hockey dad now that do you have thoughts on this already, or?
I'm not a hockey dad anymore. Like I'm a dad of a hockey player. This is my son's profession now, right? That's the bottom line. My son knows, like he'll still do some skating with me and stuff, but like I don't really want him to count on me anymore because he shouldn't. He's navigating his own path. I love the fact that he's doesn't need his dad. I love that because I might get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like no, really. Like if I do, what is he gonna like? He's independent, right? But it's his job now, and he's gonna have to deal with all the ups and the downs. And all I hope to be is enjoy as much as I did in junior, which I don't know if that's even possible, but watch my son's career grow or die. I have zero stress in it. I didn't mean that truly. I want the best for my kid, just like any parent does. I want the best. I hope he can play for the Dallas Stars for 25 years, and that's what I want, and make as much money as he can, and retire and have a great life, knowing that that's probably not exactly the way it's going to go. But anything in between, I hope he does well. I hope he manages whatever money he makes well. I hope he makes connections. I hope he learns everything he can about life. It's a short life, anyways. I won't have any stress because it's not my life anymore. He's a professional, and that's his job, and I respect it. And I'll be a cheerleader for him, but not over the top, because now I know it's straight business now. It's just straight business. You either fit in the plan or you don't. You fit in the puzzle, you don't. You performed or you don't. And he's either going to be good enough or you don't, or he outworks someone or he doesn't. And now it's up to him, like 100%. And of course, Dad, I'm feeling this, but I honestly can't offer him too much about hockey anymore, because he's playing at a level where his coaches are going to tell him something. You need this, this, and this, and he might say, "Hey, what do you think of that?" Like, but what does it matter what I think? Now it's just like, can't wait to watch you play somewhere.
Yeah,
but honestly, truly.
Are you still going to keep up with the OHL as much? Do you think, or no?
I'll step away a little bit, but I love that league. I do. I love that league. I want the best for that league. I want them to grow. I want people to love it as much as I did, because it's truly an awesome, awesome thing. Like for as much as it's been a great 5 years for my son, like, and when I say a great 5 years, it doesn't mean like great, everything was happy. It was the best experience. Being a young kid moving away from a leader, a follower leader, like his first year being the young guy, but he was leading at that point. The ups, the downs, the heartaches, disappointments, the joy, everything about it's been nothing but the best. The friends, the billets, like, so awesome, so awesome. And it's really nice to see like the gruff people like George, who you would think couldn't give two shits, but he actually cares so much. Well, you see the human side of the hockey side, and you see people like there's a lot of really good people out there, and there's a lot of assholes, and it's the best life learning experience that you could ask for a kid in his teenage years. So yeah, the best, man. Yeah, I'll follow it for sure. Not the same way though.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
because
but being here with our academy, I almost
Yeah.
want to make sure I know who's who in the zoo, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was great, man.
I think it was okay.
Well done.
Not bad.
I hope people find that interesting and useful because I did. It's fun to listen to. So we'll wrap her up there. See you guys next week.